Started out on a dirty road. Started out all alone. When the sun went down and across the hill, town lit up when the road got still. Learning to fly, but I ain't got wings. Coming down is the hardest thing. The good old days may not return. Their eyes might melt and the sea might burn. Learning to fly, but I ain't got wings. Coming down is the hardest thing. Some say life will beat you down, break your heart, and steal your crown. So I started out over God knows where. I guess I'll know when I get there. Learning to fly around the clouds, but what goes up must come down. Learning to fly, but I ain't got wings. Coming down is the hardest thing.
Hello everyone, and welcome to our Fellowship for Today Spiritual Center Sunday service. We're so glad to have all of you joining us today. It's such a wonderful experience each Sunday to come together in our spiritual community and learn and grow and just enjoy being together and listening to all the beautiful songs and the inspiring messages. I want to thank Leroy Harvey and Jim Post for their wonderful introductory song today. They do such a good job together. They really complement each other really well, and we appreciate them so much. So let's now, to begin our service, join together in an opening meditation. I invite you to close your eyes. Let's just take this opportunity to participate in this grounding together. Let's let our shoulders drop and relax our bodies. Let's take a couple of deep breaths together, breathing in and out. In and out. And as we follow our breaths, imagine that we're taking in love and releasing any worry, any anxiety, any anger, any negativity that has stored in our bodies over the last week. Just let it go. Lay down anything that is not love. As we put our full and complete focus on the one, the all that is, the divine loving presence that surrounds us and moves through us, as us, into this world. In this moment, we surrender this human body, this ego. As we bring ourselves back, grounding ourselves in our true nature, divine, loving spirit that we are. We see and feel our divine light within. The comfort and warmth of this loving, radiating light. And we hear the sweet and gentle song of divine love in our hearts. We are realigned, revived, and refreshed. Free to be all that we truly are. Free to share the depth of all that we are. True, pure love. Let us rest in the blessings and grace of the unlimited Divine One. And so it is. And so it is.
All right, and it's Corey again with another song, the Rosemary Crow's Weave, another favorite I know.
in one great symphony. Weave us together, weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together, weave us together, together in love. A moment ago, we still did not know our unity, only diversity. Now the Christ in me greets the Christ in thee, in one great family. Weave us together, weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together, weave us together, together in love. Weave us together, together in love. Now the Christ in me greets the Christ in thee, in one great family. Weave us together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Corey. You're just amazing, and we really appreciate you. We are so appreciative for all of the musicians and vocalists who share their gifts with us. It is truly a blessing that we can all enjoy and take in here at the fellowship. So now let's take a moment again to go within as we bless our tithes and offerings. Feel that abundance welling up within us as we consciously and intentionally give thanks for all of the blessings that we have in our lives and share together. We are so grateful for the fellowship, for all of your generous donations that make our services and all of our workshops and classes and activities possible as we come together to learn and grow. Let's visualize a thriving and flourishing fellowship community as we move forward into this new year of 2021. Now I'd like to invite you to read with me the blessing of the tithes and offerings that you'll see on the screen. The light of divine love shines eternally, blessing and multiplying our tithes and offerings. I joyously give, knowing I always have enough to share and to spare. Thank you, thank you. And now I'm really excited to welcome a speaker that's new to the fellowship. Her name is Karen Russell. She is a Unity prayer chaplain, a Reiki master, conscious leadership facilitator, and a healthy eating mentor. And she comes to us today with such a heartfelt message. Let's sit back and really take in her sharing with us this afternoon.
I am so grateful to gather this morning with you all. I'm eager to connect and willing to invite love and expansion into these moments that we're going to share together after a big week of celebrating. Martin Luther King's life so honored appropriately by Mary Ellen last week. I appreciated her message, and I appreciated learning that he told a new story. We watched as President Biden and Kamala Harris were inaugurated, and we welcome with them the next 4 years, serving as our president. We were offered the opportunity to lift our gaze, not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. And I want to thank you, Amanda, 22 years old, for your poem that's inspired so many of us. And I would be amiss if I didn't mention that today is my birthday. I am 60 years old today. And I'm going to say, welcome 60. My dad shared recently, and just shortly before Grace called him home, that children gravitate to the oldest person they know really cares about them. And this news, as I was inviting 60, shifted my impression on growing older. And I'm sure it's why my dad stayed actively involved, even at the ripe old young age of 82, with the youth. And I say, bring it on, and let's love those kids together. So as we begin this morning, let's center ourselves with the words of the psalmist. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. Show me thy ways, O Lord. Teach me thy paths. Lead me in thy truth and teach me. For thou art the God of my salvation, and on thee do we wait all the day. Lord, make us instruments of thy peace. I appreciated Mary Ellen's reference to the Sermon on the Mount in her talk just last week. So much of Jesus' life and teaching are reflected here. He came to demonstrate, like Martin Luther King, a new story. He came to demonstrate a new way, a way to live by divine grace. And since I told Mary my talk would have something to do with grace, I thought this might be a most fitting focus. The law, or the old way, considers an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. And this resonates with so many living by law and justice. But what we can learn from Jesus, what we can learn from Martin Luther King, there's another option. And it's living by grace. And it can be considered a game changer for some of us. So I asked myself, how am I doing living by grace? Do I resist not evil? Or do I cling to an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth? How am I doing at loving my neighbor? What about those ones a little harder to love? That guy at work, you know that guy. Perhaps your in-laws, officials, or that customer that comes in consistently refusing to wear a mask? Do I want others to suffer for their offense to me? How do I walk through challenging personalities and situations without desiring to strike back, which under the law may be completely legal, but legal or not, this is not what Jesus taught. This is not what Martin Luther King demonstrated. Matthew 5:40 offers this advice. If someone wants to sue you and take your shirt, let him have your coat as well. How are we doing? My mom counseled me saying, sweetie, if anyone wants your coat, go ahead and let him have it. If he takes your Vitamix, let him have that too. And if he decides to steal your car, might as well give him that as well, and then maybe look around to see if there's anything else that you might want to give him. Add those few extra things. That advice would seem quite unusual and contrary to reason. But I'm reminded of the bishop in Les Miserables. Remember when he declared to the policeman that brought Valjean back to the parsonage after stealing from the ministry? Yes, of course I gave him the silverware, but why, Valjean, didn't you take the candlesticks? That was very foolish of you. Madam, fetch those candlesticks. They're worth at least 2,000 francs. Why did you leave him, Valjean? Hurry, hurry, Valjean has to get going. He's lost a lot of time. Did you forget to take them? And the officer asked, so you're saying he told us the truth? And the bishop said, of course, thank you for bringing him back. I'm most relieved. And Valjean was released, and probably even more surprised than the officer, exclaiming, you're really letting me go? We're moved by this example of resist not evil, and we're encouraged to implement that new story spoken by Martin Luther King. I mentioned my dad transitioned home, and I can tell you he was in complete alignment. He was totally under grace. I could see it in his face, and I saw it in his entire countenance. He glowed, and I believe that must have been what Moses may have looked like when he came down from the Mount of Olives. So much so that it shifted all of us in that room's vision. It allowed us not to see so much his decaying body, but his spirit of strength, his soul set free. Even in death, we discovered there is life. And it's beautiful. And we learned so well that where there is grace, a spiritual presence comes to our rescue and carries us through all the confusion of life. It's transformative. And just like the story of Les Miserables, where grace was shown to Valjean by the bishop, it transformed his life and the lives of so many others. To many of us, resist not evil sounds quite impractical, but yet it appears to be the wisest and most practical of all spiritual principles. Those who attain an attitude where they can let anything come at them and stand in complete alignment without resistance cannot lose. Mother Teresa offered a wonderful example of grace. She understood the power of love. I remember watching the press following her around. They were curious activities. And one particular scene is forever planted in my heart's memory. I watched a leper lying in the streets of Calcutta, right in the gutter. And I remember watching everyone walk way past this gentleman, so far around as to not feel compromised personally by his condition, but not Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa walked right up and knelt beside him for a moment, and then picked him up and cradled him in her arms before stroking his head so passionately. And when his gaze lifted to meet hers, he asked her, "Why do you do this?" To which she answered so simply, so purely, "Because I love you." That's powerful. And she put him on a stretcher and took him home, where he shortly after made his transition to glory with so much peace and surrounded by love. Jesus had the same attitude toward leprosy. He didn't hate it. He didn't love it. He didn't fear it. He went right up and touched it, for to him it had no power. And I appreciate Joel Goldsmith's words, "Even though infections and contagions may rage all around us." My thoughts turn to coronavirus, perhaps. Although there may be panics, depressions, unemployments, limitations of every form, they do not have to come nigh our dwelling place. Why? Because we're not dwelling there. We are dwelling in the secret place of the Most High. We are dwelling in the consciousness of our oneness with our Father, where life is lived by grace, not physical law. My Equinox was recently stolen from the Whole Foods Market team member parking lot just before Thanksgiving. And as I walked around the parking lot looking for my car, thinking I must have forgotten where I parked it, and yet still not finding it, I decided I need to search for the better feeling thought. And the better feeling thought at that point was to think of it as simply borrowed, confident that it could be returned, like my brand new 10-speed bike was just about 45 years prior. It was taken right from my front yard, and then 3 days later put back right where it was. And that offered me encouragement, but it's possible. Just 3 days later, I received a call from the police, and they found my car, and no worse for wear. I chose not to press charges, which was my way of offering the person who took it grace. And I may never know, but I would like to think that my being gracious to him could have offered him opportunity to shift his life in ways beneficial and meaningful. The Sermon on the Mount offers a choice, law or grace, and we get to choose. If we choose the law, it could be simpler because it's actually conforming to common practice. But if we choose to live by grace, we find that the Spirit of God enables us to rise above seeking revenge, to rise above feeling the need to defend ourselves. And if we can learn to surrender all outcomes to grace, my friends, we, like Job, can rest in calm trust and comfort, knowing and experiencing that underneath it all are the everlasting arms of love. Everything needed for an opulent life. When problems are brought to our attention for solution, we can remember what Jesus said to Peter in the garden. Put away your sword, put away your sword, or step into alignment. Remember, grace is. And we can love our neighbors around the world, praying equally and sincerely for all, and then step back and watch divine grace rush in to pick us up and carry us forward. And so it is. And let us close together in prayerful meditation. Let's take deep breath. And let it out slowly. Let us fill that space with grace. Let us breathe in love so deeply. And as we breathe out, let us imagine all those things that we don't want going with our breath out. Let us rest together in the assurance and the presence of grace itself. We can be satisfied here. We can be satisfied no matter what external circumstances may be swirling around. We know that grace already is, and underneath it all are the everlasting arms of love that carry us through. And let's just take a few minutes in this silence to remember grace and know that we can walk in this sweet presence that's so full of life, no matter what. together we can sing our thoughts, our prayers.
Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Take charge of what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer.
Let's all join together right now and thank again all of our wonderful musicians that shared their songs and their talents with us today. And wasn't it so good to hear Lucille's voice and hear our thoughts, our prayers, and sing that together? It just puts a lump in my throat when I hear those old fellowship songs that we sang so frequently together. And many thanks to our new speaker today, Karen Russell. She brought such heart, and we thank her for that, for sharing her heart with us. And leaving with us such wonderful questions to contemplate and reflect upon. Are we living our grace? Are we being it? And are we sharing and extending it? Let's think about that and do our very best to really reach out and extend our blessings and our grace to all those that we come into contact with. I just have a couple of announcements this afternoon. One is we'd like for you to plan on joining us for just a little while after Sunday service on February 7th. We'll have a little social time after the service, right after the service, and we'll do it on Zoom, and we'll get you all that information about how you can get on quickly to just say hi to each other and catch up a little bit. It'll be nice to see each other's faces and hear each other's voices. And we're planning another Valentine's Day fundraiser, similar to last year's, where we delivered some wonderful cards and flowers and things to people that we wanted to remember. But especially this year, what a wonderful thing to do to reach out and let people know that we are thinking of them, we love them, and we're supporting them. So kind of get out a piece of paper and your pen and start making your list on who you want to include in those Valentine's Day deliveries. And now we're going to gather together in our beautiful big peace circle. We're going to have our closing blessing after the circle to end our service. But let's really reach out our hands, our arms, and feel those hands of our neighbors in ours. Let's include all of those inspiring peacemakers in our circle that we called in last week. They want to be in our circle with us. They want to hold our hands, and they want to share their energy with ours, so that we can wrap this world in a beautiful energy of peace. I want to tell everyone again, I love you so much. I send you my love, and I hope everyone is sending out their loving energy to everyone in our spiritual community. And I'll see you next Sunday.